Come on, kid. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Sports Trap. My name is Scott Morgan, your host, Motor City Mad Mouth. Got a loaded show today, and we have some great people. We're going to talk about all the news that's going in and out for the sport that's on Frozen Pond. Last night from our Battle Royal, Cody Spink. I'll tell you, we lit it up last night, didn't we, my friend?
Oh, yeah, we did. It was fun.
And we got Dennis Marook, our Hall of Famer on here. Got to get this guy into the Hall of Fame. What are these people drunk?
That's
What are
right.
they smoking?
That's right. Get over there.
Get I got to get him in Toronto for all the right reasons. We're working on it, Dennis. The more we keep you in the news, the more we keep you on here, the more people will pay attention to us. I am loud, and I'll do everything in my power to get you in there, brother. Just stay with us, okay, buddy? All right.
Okay.
And we got Mike Santos on. Got a busy show, Mike. Glad to have you back on.
Hi, Mike.
All right, there you go. The salute. Good stuff. Okay, with that said, we're going to talk about Mount Rushmore, but not the one that you're going to see out in North Dakota, South Dakota, wherever it's at. We're going to talk about NHL's Mount Rushmore of goalies. Who gets snubbed? You have to pick maybe one or two that will get snubbed here. Well, we got 8 of them, so I'm going to list you. Give me 4 of them that you think should be on. We're going to start off with Dennis, and please pay attention to the names. You got Patrick Waugh, Martin Brodeur, Dominic Hasek, Ken Dryden, Grant Fuhr, Jacques Plante, Glenn Hall, and Terry Sawchuk. Starting off with you, Dennis, you got to pick 4.
I got to pick 4. Okay. Patrick Roy.
Okay.
Glenn Hall.
Okay.
Geez, they're all good. I mean,
that's why I make these questions so difficult. Yeah. That's why I make these questions so difficult. So you think I'm supposed to make this stuff easy? Really, Dennis? Come on.
Grant Fuhr.
Okay.
I didn't get a lot of credit for all those Stanley Cups that they won. That he was a big part of it. Right. And I gotta go because as a kid growing up, Johnny Bauer.
Oh, not on the list, but we'll put him on yours. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, you got Johnny Bauer on that list. Okay, go ahead, Mike. Who you got out of this list? Unless you have somebody that belongs on there.
I was very young, so I don't remember a lot about him, but I know a lot about him, and that's Glenn Hall for sure.
Okay.
And then I would go with guys that I saw play. Patrick Waugh for sure.
Okay.
I would go also with Ken Dryden.
Okay.
I mean, he's Dennis could tell you about him.
Okay.
Yeah, I the reason why I didn't pick him is because their team was so fabulous. He didn't even have to make any saves. I mean, he really didn't get many chances. I had a breakaway on him. Yeah. We lost 2-1, and I won nothing in Montreal. And when I was playing for the Seals, and I had a breakaway on him, and he stopped me. But other than that, I don't think he really had to make too many saves. Their team was unbelievable. So that's why I went with a goalie like Johnny Bauer, who needed to win, who had to make the big saves.
And then my last one, I would have Martin Brodeur to edge out Dominic Hasek.
Okay. So name your 4 again, Mike, one more time, please.
Patrick Waugh, Martin Brodeur, Ken Dryden, and Glenn Hall.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Go ahead, Tony.
It's pretty much the first 4 that you named: Patrick Waugh, Dominic Hasek, Martin Brodeur, and Ken Dryden. That's, I think, the top 4 for me.
You know what? I'm going to go Terry Sawchuk. I don't remember the last time the Red Wings had a Vezina Trophy winner, but he had 4 of them. I got to go with Jacques Plante, too. I actually interviewed him many years ago over in Fort Lauderdale. The guy invents a mask, for crying out loud. Without this, how many jaws and faces would be protected by this stuff? And I'm going to go Martin Brodeur and Patrick Waugh, even though people don't like them in Detroit because of the fights. But those are 4 pretty good players there. So I like the opinions that really vary on this list. I think it makes it so good when you have a list like this to get the various opinions for sure. Any questions? Go ahead.
Now, I'd like to know Dennis's Mount Rushmore of character goalies. Like I loved the Cobra. He was a beauty, right?
My buddy the Cobra. Joe Malash was a great goalie.
Yeah, Joe Malash.
Yeah.
Some of the other guys that I just thought
There's so many older goalie out there.
Gilly Gilbert, I thought was a great guy and a character for the Bruins.
What about Mikey Vernon?
Mike
Oh,
Vernon.
I like Mike Vernon.
I always said he was the easiest goalie to score on.
Well, how many times did you score on him?
I don't know. I know a lot.
How about Bernie Parent and
There's Bernie. Yeah.
and here's a fun guy, Doug
Hextall. What about Hextall? Ronnie Hextall.
Ronnie Hextall. Did you ever? You must have played against Doug Favell, right, Dennis?
Yes. Yeah. He was okay. Yeah, but he was a lot of these goalies, and a lot of people don't know about. They have different. I don't know. They're in a different crew. We put them aside. They're in their own little group. The way they get ready for the games, and sometimes you can't even talk to them. You know, go into the game and things like that. So they have their own little strategies and all that kind of stuff. So I always say goalies were in a different world.
And if I didn't mention him right now, he'd probably hit me next time I saw him. Billy Smith.
Oh, I did hit him many times. He hit me a lot of times. When I played for the Capitals, we had wars. There was no doubt about it. And then after, when we're all done and doing charity golf tournaments and charity hockey events and stuff, we run into each other a lot, and we're just like friends. You know?
See, what I like about Mike Vernon is him and Patrick Wall went into a fight. I think he got the best out of him there. And Mike Vernon's the guy that went out there and snapped the Red Wings' long Stanley Cup drought. But the fact that him and Patrick Wall went at it and he got the best of it, you know what? I like that list that you guys created on your own. I like when you do stuff and expand what I'm doing. Okay, that is beautiful stuff. It really, really is.
I need a shout out for Cody then. Ryan Miller.
That's who I was gonna say was Ryan Miller.
Ryan.
That's you stole mine, Mike.
Yeah, but he was a hell of a goalie. I mean,
yeah,
that people don't really give enough credit to.
I would say average to good. I wouldn't think he was like some of the other goalies that we mentioned and stuff like that. But I would say average to good. Yeah.
No, Ryan Miller. He was on the character wise. Yeah, he was on my list. You know, he's a Star Wars guy, and I've just heard so many great things about him as well.
Curtis Joseph.
He was just on the Chicklets too, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, great topic. So I got one even better than this one. You ready? The top 10 NHL players with the most assists, okay? You ready for this list? You don't have to pick any. I'm just giving it to you, and you can comment randomly. We're going to start off with Wayne Gretzky, who has 1,963 assists. You got Ron Francis, 1,249. Mark Messier, 1,193. Ray Bourque, 1,169. Jaromir Jagr, 1,155. Paul Coffey, 1,135. Adam Oates, there's a name there, 1,079. Steve Yzerman with 1,063. Gordie Howe, can't forget on him, 1,049. And Marcel Dion, 1,040. All right, we're going to go to you, Dennis. I just gave you a lot of them. Tell me a couple that stand out for you.
Sorry, I only had 555 or something like that. Assists out of mine. Sorry, I wasn't in that top 10, but I think depending on, and I think it all goes to look at where I played, the teams I played on it. But you look at Gretzky, you look at the Messi and guys, look at the arsenal they had on their team, goal scoring and all that. They were the top team in the 80s. They scored, they would beat teams. I think they beat us, Minnesota, 12-8 one game. So you get a lot of points on the power play and stuff. And you look at Gordie Howe, you look at Marcel. Those guys during their time, Marcel Dion, look at the assist he got during his time. He never won a Stanley Cup, and he's in the top 5 scoring. So there's a lot of players on that list that had a lot of assists that played many years, but were on teams that were very successful in scoring a lot of goals, and they were a big part of it. So
Mike,
they got an assist as well.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by Paul Coffey getting it from the blue line, being a defenseman. But again, I'll
He
always be.
wasn't a defenseman. He
Oh, he
was a
wasn't.
forward.
Yeah,
Oh, wasn't he?
They said he was a defenseman, but he was never back there.
yeah.
Oh,
He
oh,
could
well,
skate
that's
just
different.
he could skate just as fast as going forward coming back. So that's why he was always up front on the forward with the forwards. Yeah, because they had an extra forward with Paul Coffey up there.
Now, I'll tell you one thing, Dennis, and I've learned in a short period of time we've doing this. You got some of those interesting perspectives that I have ever seen. He's not a defenseman, but he's always up there. I'll tell you what. I hope that when we get to the shorts and the technical part of this, that those people that does the technological business goes out there and puts that one up there. Because Dennis Marook said it, and I'm taking it to the bank. All right,
Thank you. All
no
right,
problem.
take it to the bank.
Yeah, exactly.
You need my bank number? Okay, now go ahead.
No, I don't know. You want mine? Oh, then again, I don't have any. I never see it. Producer of the show does. Great stuff, though, Dennis. You let me know. Like I said, when you get to Florida, we're gonna have a blast when you get here in a matter of a few weeks. All right, Mike. I gave you some interesting names on the list. Go ahead.
The one name that stands out to me isn't really a name that would maybe stand out to a lot of people, and that's Adam Oates. I mean, Adam Oates, was the guy feeding Brett Hull in St. Louis. He was the guy that I would say turned Cam Neely into a big time scorer. I really enjoyed watching Adam Oates because he was a true playmaker. Maybe not ever the level of a Messier or a Gretzky or even Coffey, but he was a hands player, man. He did things with his hands that really made people look good. And if you talk to Brett Hull and asked him, how he scored so many goals, and half of them probably came from Adam Oates.
Right.
Yeah, what about you, Cody?
Well, I said Adam Oates was one that former Duck for 1 year, and after Solani, we traded Solani away. He was what really helped the Ducks on that 2003 Stanley Cup run.
Right.
He helped Paul Kariya and everything. I mean, Jaromir Jagr, Ray Bourque, someone up there too. I feel like all those Oilers, I think that was just a plain cheat code, all of them being up there. Gretzky, Messier, Coffey. And Sidney Crosby's on this list. He's still chugging, he's still going, and it looks like he could be moving up a spot. If he gets 8 more assists. So it's a very good list to be on. If any of these 10 players, and there's only 2 players on there that aren't Hall of Famers, and it's because neither of them have retired yet.
Dennis, I want to ask you, Dennis, who did you play for that was always going up to the referee or the linesman after a goal saying, I got the assist on that one. I got the assist. Because we all play with guys like that, right? They were always looking for those second assists and going to the scorekeeper and talking to the
I think that happened a lot of times in certain guys, and truthfully, some guys got stolen from, didn't get the assist many years ago. Now it's a totally different story. They know exactly who's got the assist and that, but with videos and all that. But during my time and my early years and all that, there's a lot of guys that didn't get assists that should have gotten assists. And some did go to the referees and say, "Hey, what about me? Give me assist. I was the third guy. What's going on here?" Yeah. Or even, I had probably about 10 goals that I scored underneath the crossbar and came out. Referees say, "Oh no, that wasn't in." So just things like that.
Here's the thing. On that list, the guy that intrigues me the most is actually Mark Messier, because not only did he win it in Edmonton, and he did it without Gretzky, won it with the Rangers as well. So, and be able to win one in New York, you consider the guy, let alone with the Rangers as well.
Right. So, yeah. You look at the team structure of the team and how many players, how many goal scorers are on the team, and I think you look at a good point about Adam Oates is he didn't play with a lot of great. He played a lot of great teams, but he did play with some great players, and so he said he was a great playmaker. And then another guy that we did was Ronnie Francis, is a guy that you don't talk a lot about. And look what he did. Look at all the assists he got. And so then it goes by what that individual can do with a team that's not big goal scoring team.
See, I'll tell you one thing. I love these lists because you know what? I like them so much. I'm going to give you another one. Players who dominated but never won the Stanley Cup. Let me go over the list with you. You know, these are always great. I'll tell you. I like picking on Dan Marino when it comes to football, but oh well. But you know, we got to stay to hockey. Too bad,
Mr.
Daddy.
Allen, and we got to talk about Mr. Allen, the football player,
Yeah,
quarterback. Yeah,
yeah, there you go.
when's he gonna win it?
Exactly. Oh, why? Are you volunteering to come on the football show next?
Yeah,
Okay, I
I
didn't think
love
so.
football. Yeah, he just became a daddy
I'm
too.
I'm bringing this
He,
guy in
he,
inside the pigskin.
he
I'm
just
bringing you on.
he just became a daddy, so he'll probably win it next year.
I'm bringing. What do you think, guys? Do you think I should bring Dennis Rook on inside the pigskin? Oh, I can imagine how he's fit in with that group. Of course, Cody. Should I bring him on the show that we had last night? First of all, Cody, before we get into
Yes.
the topic, all right, here, Dennis, you got to hear this. Cody, tell him exactly what happened last night on the Sports Exchange.
Oh God, Scott was pulling everything, getting Cliff going. He got Marky going. Just every
Oh,
time they had a rebuttal, Scott would just add right to it and get him really going. And I'm just over here just smiling and drinking my water and enjoying
there you
every
go.
second of it. You know, at one point I was able to go microwave popcorn and enjoy the show.
Football's great. Football's great to talk about. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, but these two guys last night, Dennis, I had on here, I'll tell you what, by the time you get me late and I got these two guys going back and forth, I felt like it was time for me to go ahead and put my dukes up and drop these two guys. But you know what? They kept coming back for more, and they were good. And that's what makes that show entertaining. You know what, Dennis? One of these
That makes it a great show. Yeah, no doubt
exactly.
about
So
it.
you know what we got to do? Here's what we got to do. Whenever you're ready, you don't have to do it right away. I need to bring you on that show one time at 9 o'clock Eastern time on Wednesday night, and I'll blow the socks off these guys and bring you on there.
Okay, no problem.
All right. Anyways, another list that I like to get to. Alluded it before. I'm getting back to it again now. Players who dominated but never won the Stanley Cup. Let me go over the names. Marcel Dion, Jerome Gidlin, by the way, I spoke to him when he was in Sunrise near Florida for the All-Star game. What a nice guy, too. Pat LaFontaine. So Dion had 1,771 career points, 6 all-time scorer. Jerome McGinley, 625 career goals. Call him Captain Clutch. Pat LaFontaine, career cut short, but he had 1.17 points a game. Peter Snasky, there's a guy that a lot of people don't think about. Of course, he played in Quebec, but he had 1,239 career points, defected for the NHL. Matt Sundin, 1,349 career points. Leafs legend, boy, the Leafs could use him now. Henrik Lundqvist, 459 career wins. King of New York. Pavel Bure, 437 goals in 102 games played. The Russian Rocket. And last but not least, Roberto Luongo, 489 career wins. A decade in Vancouver. Now, I guess you could say that's probably Siberia in Canada, although I love Vancouver. It's a beautiful city. Dennis, start it off.
Okay, all those names. You look at the teams and all that they had. As I mentioned, the dominating teams that won the Stanley Cups and stuff like that. But you look at, and one guy I think you missed out was Mike Gartner.
Well, it's not on the list, but you can add them.
Mike Gartner was probably another one. But you look at what Marcel Dion. Look how many points he had. And it's too bad that Sundin played for Toronto. They weren't going to win the Stanley Cup, so there you go. There, Stastny was a phenomenal hockey player. Peter Stastny played a lot against him internationally as well as when he played in Quebec. So he was, and Jerome Gilna, what he did. It just happens that you get to in the NHL, you want to be on a team that's going to have a chance to win a Stanley Cup, and I think at times. You look at these players, and that Patty LaFontaine, a great guy, great player, and just wasn't on the right team or wasn't in the right situation, and that's what happens. You get some guys that only play like 3 or 5 years and win 3 Stanley Cups. They're on the right team at the right time, and they're a big part of it, whether they're a penalty killer or on the power play or just 5-on-5. So it depends on timing, team, and all that. The way I look at it, and I look at myself. I always wanted to be traded or put on a Stanley Cup contending team. The only one that we came close was the mid '80s when we had to go against the Oilers when I was with the North Stars.
Mike?
Yeah, there's a lot of good names on that list. The one that stands out to me is he didn't even get to a final. A lot of these guys, Jerome McGinley, Patty LaFontaine in his first year, I mean, they got to Stanley Cup Finals. They didn't win it, but Marcel Dion, for as great as player as he was, he never even got close.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a shame. I mean, he's one of the all-time greats. Some other guys, though, that I would say are right up there too that didn't get a shot were Daryl Sittler in Toronto, who had a great career. Cam Neely in Boston, a couple that come to mind, and then Dennis Maruk.
Thank you.
There you go. Okay.
No, well.
Okay. So where are we at? So we talked about dominated. Now let's everybody get their 2 cents in on this one.
I didn't.
Go ahead. Well, you are now.
I mean, there was a couple that I had in mind that you didn't say. I mean, there's also Joe Thornton, Paul Correa.
Very good.
There was another one I saw in here. I just lost it. But like two guys that have been playing. What was the other guy? He played with Marleau, also. Those are three guys. Patrick Marleau. Those three guys.
No.
Wendell Clark.
Yeah, Wendell Clark never won one.
No.
Oh yeah, that's right. He didn't win one. Those are just the guys that I looking through the NHL points leaders and everything that I noticed that never won. So but like it sucks that you have such a great career and you just don't get to the finish line like that. So, and some guys have won it multiple times, and some guys don't even get the chance to even try for one.
Exactly.
See, I'm going to go back to Marcel Dion. Obviously, in his particular situation, okay, he had 4 years with Detroit, got out of there, didn't want to play there, went to the Kings, and the Kings, he made a name for himself there. Played with a lot of good players, but he was just on some bad teams for sure. So let's continue on with the list.
Adam Oates never won either. It's another one.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, one more list I want to get to, and then we're going to get to some other important breaking news, okay? And that's the most shocking retirements in NHL history. I'll go over that list, okay? You have Mario Lemieux, for health reasons, retired at the top of his game in '97. Patrick Waugh, 2003, I have nothing left to prove. Pavel Bure, knee injuries forced him out in his prime. Mike Bossy, back injuries, retired at 30. After 10 straight 50-goal seasons, great career for him. Ken Dryden to pursue law. That one's always interesting. Retired at 31 with 6 cups. Good career short. Pavel Datsyuk in 2016 returned to Russia. Dustin Byfuglien, 2020, lost the passion. Okay, I can appreciate that. Just walked away from the game. And Datsyuk, case he had a year left on his contract. And last but not least, Ilya Kovalchuk, 2013, returned to Russia the first time. Left a massive contract on the table. So which one stand out to you there, Dennis?
What stands out there? That Datsyuk, man, I tell you, he was a phenomenal hockey player. There's no doubt about it. People say that he could do so many different moves and stuff, and people say you think he'd do it in the games, which he did, but we should watch him and practice what that player can do against his own teammates. He was just electrifying, of course, you can go down the list of players that, because injuries or whatever, I would say another one would be Lemieux. That I would, that guy was, they classify him as better than Gretzky and that. So there's a good, you could go on for hours talking about who's better, either Wayne or Mario. So I would say when he retired due to, his situation, that was kind of a shocking one to me because I think he would have got a lot more points and probably around what Gretzky did or whatever. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Mike?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those guys, there's other other guys that you can think of. Maybe they didn't have short careers, but like Paul Career, he certainly got his career cut short because of all the head injuries. Eventually, caught up to him. He's one I think of for sure right away. It's yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I mean, Ken Dryden, he won plenty while he was there. So I think more of the guys that retired sooner than they should have, that didn't win. And then I think of guys that could be on that list too, that that did win, probably because they got the favor of a trade. Ray Bork, for instance,
Right.
finishing up in Colorado. I mean, he could have ended up having a Hall of Fame career in Boston 20 years and never got a cup, right?
Right.
So, yeah, but I really feel for the guys that have careers cut short because of injuries, and Paul Career is the one that stands out to me.
Okay, Cody.
Can you name off the list one more time for me?
Yeah, absolutely. Mario Lemieux, Patrick Waugh, Paul Burry, Mike Bossy, Ken Dryden, Pavel Johnson, Dustin Bufflin, Ilya Kovalchuk.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Dustin Bufflin one. I think that was for the sake of everyone in the league more than him, because man, that guy can. I just remember watching him. He had one guy in each hand, and just dragging them and everything like that. And he was a you thought if Jacob Trouba was a train, then what was Dustin Bufflin, man?
Right.
Man, like I said, I think that was probably the more I don't want to kill anyone while I'm playing out here kind of thing. And then the other one, Kovalchuk was another one. Patrick Waugh, the Ken Dryden one is like, he won everything, and he was kind of just, I'm done, I'm good, kind of thing. Like I'm pretty sure that shocked a lot of people, but it was his choice, and he was happy about it. But yeah, the Dustin Bufflin one is the one I was kind of shocked about, and makes me wonder if he was anywhere other than Winnipeg at that time, would he have retired that early?
I bring up one other guy that a lot of you probably don't know from the Minnesota North Stars. He was our captain, Craig Hartsburg.
Yeah,
he was a great defenseman, a great leader, and he had, due to injury, had to retire early. He had a rotating hip bone. It kept falling out of place, and it was so much pain that they said they had to have surgery and wouldn't be able to play again. So there was one guy that I will put on that list that, for me, could have done a lot of great things in the game. He became coach, an assistant coach, and all that in the NHL. But on the ice, he was just a great leader, and great competitor.
See, the guy I'm going to go with is Ken Dryden, easily. And I'll say that's for Sue Law, but people didn't forget about him too long because he was on the Miracle on Ice paired with Al Michaels. So if you forgot about him when he played, you didn't forget about him in 1980. That's for sure. The other ones I get, Patrick Waugh, obviously nothing to prove. After a great year, but Ken Dryden easily stands out on the list for me. I don't have to go any deeper than the list. All I have to do is go deeper into the show. And I'm going to do that. We'll talk about the Red Wings have acquired David Perron from the Ottawa Senators for the conditional fourth-round pick in the 2026 NHL entry draft. So what are your thoughts about that trade, Dennis?
Well, David's been around. There's no doubt about it. He's a pretty solid hockey player. How much is he going to do for Detroit? We'll see. They're fighting out in their situation there in the playoffs. So I think with his maturity and how he plays the game, you can use him on the power play. You can use him penalty killing. He's pretty steady 5-on-5. So is he going to lead the team? I don't think he's going to be a player to lead a team. I think he's a player to help that team if they get into the playoffs and get their injuries back playing, which I think they did with Larkin. and they'll become a stronger team with them. But I don't think he's going to be a player to lead them.
Okay.
He'll be there to help them.
Okay. That's fair. Mike? And by the way, hello, Earl Kinsey. Glad to have you in here. Glad you made on the second one. Fire up after this one. Go ahead, Earl. Go ahead, Mike. Oh, anybody wants to come on? Candy will send you a link, Earl. You come on one of these days.
I'm a big Steve Eiserman fan. I have been saying you got to stay patient with what he's building there. But I'll tell you what, the way they started this season and then went into the trade deadline, and now watching what's happening to them again, looks like they're going out of the playoff race, I'd be pretty disappointed as a fan if all you're doing is bringing David Perron back.
Right.
Nice player, but he's
they got Justin Falk too.
Yeah, but he's been in this. But Perron we're talking about. I mean, he's been in the league 16, 17 years. He's played for 89 teams. Some of them 3 or 4 times. Like, I mean, the Red Wings just signed him a year or 2 ago, and now they're bringing him back. Like, it smells of desperation. We got to do something, or it's going to look bad that we didn't do enough this year. I don't know. I mean, I agree with Dennis. He's a nice piece, to add on, but he's not going to be a leader. I don't think he's the guy that's going to get you over the top and get you into the playoffs. Nothing against David Perron, but I'm a little disappointed that that's what the Red Wings did, including that. But
now, Mike, I couldn't agree with you more. They could have done way more than this guy. I get to realize he's a piece, but when you haven't made the playoffs in 9 years, and you get is Falk and Perron. Sorry, Steve. I'm being a guy from that area. I don't think you got the job done. All right, Cody, you have the last word. We're going to bring Candy Emily in for the next segment because this is a very important one as well. We got 3 topics on women. Candy's going to be a part of each and every one of them tonight. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit could have easily done more than just getting Justin Falk and David Perron. They had $11 million in cap space, and they have plenty of draft picks, plenty of prospects that they easily could have made a big move, or sometimes you don't even need to make a big move. You just got to make the right move at the trade deadline. Because usually the teams that win in the Stanley Cup, they never make the big move. They just make the right move at the deadline. That's what I've noticed. With Vegas that 1 year, all they got was Barbashev, and boom, Stanley Cup. Perron's always been that kind of guy that teams always like to add at the trade deadline. I mean, my Ducks did it. Edmonton did it. I think Pittsburgh did it. Vegas did it. And then, Detroit, St. Louis for the 8th time. So, like I said, I've always liked David. He kind of has that veteran presence about him. He's not someone that's going to lead you on the ice and stuff like that, but he's probably like a good locker room guy. And from what I've heard, is people like having him in the locker room. Right. So I can see probably why Detroit wanted to bring him back, because he probably clicked with the guys from before, and they wanted to bring him back and see, they thought they were going to make the playoffs, and it looks like they're going to be a little short again. But like I said, he's a locker room guy, and who knows what's going to happen after this season with him. So, but I think it was just they're trying to make a right move, not the big move.
I agree.
I think in about 10 days he can help them clean out the locker room, because they're not playoffs.
He's used to cleaning out his locker, so
exactly. Candy Emily, we're going to talk about 3 ladies topics that are important. This one here, obviously, for the Professional Women's Hockey League, actually is sold out. Madison Square Garden and Boston TD Garden for their upcoming April matchups. Okay, Dennis, what are your thoughts about the PWHL? I'll tell you what, women's hockey is starting to draw pretty well.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked a little bit, to tell you the truth. I know Janie Hefford, and I've done a lot of events with a bunch of the girls with Team Canada, with the Women's Canada Olympic team and all that, Natalie Spooner and all those girls, the nurse girl. I've done a lot of events with them in the summer, and when they first come out with this, that they're going to have league, and I was kind of shocked at some of the crowds that they were they were getting. And I think that just goes to show that there is women hockey out there. There's no doubt about it. They are good. It's not exactly like the NHL. There's not that hitting. They can skate fast. They can, and I can't shoot the puck as hard and all that. But they play good hockey out there, and I think that's where a lot of people don't realize that there is a lot of young women, girls playing hockey, in not only in Canada but in the United States. When I did talk to Janie a while ago, last summer, I believe, and their biggest concern was getting some kind of United States sponsor. That was their, because they could expand to more cities and more teams, and that was their concern. Now we don't all know if those sellouts are free tickets or being paid tickets. I think that's something that has to be looked into. But I do know that they're getting people there to see them play, and a lot of people say they really like it.
Yeah. Mike?
Yeah, look, there's nothing wrong with the women's game, but right now they need more exposure and they need a better marketing plan. Um, to Dennis's point, unfortunately, I do know that a lot of those tickets, and the same with the games that they've played in previous years in places like Minnesota and Ottawa, are free tickets.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but they need to, first of all, they need some sort of a broadcasting platform.
Right.
And it's not going to be TSN or ESPN or anything like that to start with, but even a good streaming broadcast platform. But they need to get their games out so people can see them without having to go watch them live. I think that's the first thing, and that coupled with, as Dennis said, some good sponsors, some money behind them will go a long way. I actually think they have star quality players, and just coming off of the Olympics again this year, because let's face it, internationally the game is still dominated by Canada, the United States.
Right.
I mean, this was a perfect opportunity for them to market the heck out of women's hockey after another terrific Canada-U.S. gold medal final game. And I think they just kind of missed the boat. I mean, there's plenty of good. I'll even call them Caitlin Clark type women's hockey players out there that they can market. They got to do a better job than they're doing right now.
Like Hillary Knight, yeah. Look what she did, and she got done, right? So,
great stuff. For you, Dennis and Mike, what do you think, Cody?
Well, it's a good thing seeing the PWHL selling out, the Boston Garden and the Madison Square Garden. I mean, some of the players that were from Team USA, half the team was in college still. So I mean, some of these players haven't been drafted yet, and they're still expanding. This is only year 3 of the league. I think right now, I mean, they have the games on YouTube. At least they make it very accessible for people to watch, and I think that's what everyone wants is, it to be very accessible for everyone to watch. That it's not a local thing or anything like that. Everyone could watch on YouTube. I mean, yeah, it would be nice for them to have, sponsors and a broadcast, but right now it's free on YouTube. I think once they get, up to maybe 10, 12 teams, I could really see them starting to branch out and getting the TV broadcast, actual team owners, and I'm saying we need some teams out west too, LA or Seattle, or no, sorry, they have Seattle, or Vegas team, something. San Jose team. There you go.
Right.
Something right there. That'd be great. Just so we can see what it's like on the West Coast, because it seems it's all like, mid United States and East. So it'd be nice to on the West we kind of get some representation for the women's side as well. But I mean, on that, I think it's good to see that they're selling out these these historic kind of arenas, like the gardens.
Yeah.
Okay, Candy. This is your first real opportunity to contribute to the Sports Wrap Our Hockey Show. You're going to have 3 opportunities tonight. Start with this one.
So we talked last night on Sports Exchange. What was the most underrated sports that we talk about? We talked about NHL. We talked about men's hockey. So vice versa, women's hockey is going to be underrated as well. And I think it's really taking off. I think it's really growing. If you look at this league, following the first season, the attendance grew by 52.5% in the next season. So you know it's gaining momentum. In early 2026, the league saw 154,000 fans in January alone, averaging 8,726 per game. To be honest with you, that beat the crowd at the Miami Marlins game the other day. And we talk about how good baseball is. Come on. I know it's the Marlins, but I'm just saying, you know.
You're putting the Marlins in here. Really?
That's not a very good comparison. I'm sorry, Candy.
Candy.
We beat them by over 2,000. A women's hockey league that we think is, I mean, let's face it, it's most underrated when we're talking about the sports and listing the sports. Yes, it's coming off USA Olympics. And it's also coming after the NC2A where the Wisconsin women won. And on top of that, Scott, and I don't know if this is going to steal any thunder, but the NC2A on February 20th of 2026, a massive crowd saw Wisconsin women play against Michigan at the Kohl Center. It was 15,511. So that's telling you that the attendance for women's sports is increasing, and I'm so happy to see it.
Hey, that's more than the Marlins and the Oakland A's combined.
She saved herself there, but that Miami Marlins comparison, get real, Candy. You can't put that.
Hey, I added the Oakland A's in that too.
We didn't even average that amount in Cleveland. I played in the NHL with the Cleveland Barons.
Yeah, I remember that.
We didn't even get an average 8,000. No way.
Yeah, no. Hey, listen, you know what? You want to really go back to the attendance thing? How about the WHA when they had the Michigan Stags? They were awful. Come on, Candy. You can't put the Miami Marlins in this one. I'm sorry, Candy.
I'm saying it's an MLB team compared to a women's hockey for attendance.
I know. Come on. That was a bad one, Candy. Let's get real. You better own that one. But you'll have 2 other Huh?
Good job, Candy.
Okay. Well, now you got him sold on you. He just saved you. I told you. What were you going to add before I interrupted you?
Oh, no, I was going to say it was the Wisconsin-Michigan game when she said it was at 15,000. I'm like, that's more than the Marlins and the A's combined.
Oh, now we're bringing the poor A's in here too, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's fine because we're going to talk about another woman, but this one unfortunately is not very good news. But I have to bring it up nonetheless as part of the job. But an NHL reporter was killed after a fire in her Minnesota home. Jesse Pierce was found dead with her 2 sons and their daughter. And after a blaze broke out at their home in White Bear Lake, Minnesota, she covered the Minnesota Wild for NHL.com for roughly 10 years. Dennis, this is tragic.
I played for the North Stars, and I lived in Minneapolis. Well, I lived in Eden Prairie, Minnesota for 14 years. So I know what it's all about in the Minnesota hockey and all that. And then what she worked for the NHL, it's just a tragic situation. Yeah. You know, you hate to see anything like this happen to anybody, not only a person that's involved with sports and that, but and then to lose the children. I mean, that also was very, very sad. Anybody that has children and being gone in a house fire. I didn't really look into it much, but I haven't found out where the father was or the husband.
Right.
And what was the real reason for the house? I don't know if that's come out. The burned down.
Well, arson was not a contributor. Yeah. That much I know. Right. And I don't know where the husband was. Unfortunately, my condolences to him because we don't know anything else. But yeah, it's hard to lose your whole family in a blaze. But yeah, I was wondering about that, Dennis, and I tried to research it, but up until airtime, I didn't have that information. Maybe
No.
on a future show we'll have it, but I'm with you all the way. It's a tough loss. Continue your thought, Dennis. But I want to try to answer your question.
Yeah, I just, it's anybody that involved with the sport, whether it's hockey, baseball, football, whatever. You lose somebody because of this. It's very sad for the NHL and the hard work that she put in to do her reporting, and I think that was very sad and a big loss for the NHL.
Okay. Mike?
Yeah, I don't really know much about the situation, but obviously it's tragic, and you know, regardless of what else comes out about what happened, it doesn't make it any better. And I just prayers to the family, and I hate to see it happen. It's just terrible.
Yeah. Cody?
It's a very sad and tragic thing that happened. For the guy to lose his wife and kids and dog and his house in a fire like that,
Right.
and everything like that. I've heard nothing but great things about the reporter. Jeff Merrick was talking about her. There was numerous other podcasts that were just saying like how great she was. She had her own podcast, and who was it? I think they were even saying on the during one of the Ducks game, Mikael Granlund. He used to play for the Wild. He was just raving about her and saying she was great and how she would do anything for anyone on the team and stuff like that. So it's a very sad and tragic thing that happened. And I know there was like a GoFundMe thing to help support the husband during this tragic time and stuff like that. So I don't know the exact thing, but I know they have it posted somewhere.
All right, Candy, some thoughts.
The husband was away on business. He took a phone call from the police. He said he thought at that time that everybody was in the house. It turns out they were in the house. There is a GoFundMe. It's raised almost $240,000. They're asking to raise up to $250,000. Yes, unfortunately, they did find everybody in the living room, and I guess not too far from the door. So I don't know if they were trying to get out and they just couldn't. They said that the firefighters, when they got to the address, that they tried to go in through the front door, but the flames were so intense right there that they just couldn't get there quick enough. And they did rule out arson. They're trying to look into other things that could have been a gas leak, could have been candles, like any kind of electrical fire or something like that. They're just not sure. At least the last time I looked. Tragic story to lose your wife and kids and your dog in your house, to come home to like nothing, because what I've seen, there is like nothing left of that house. It's a shell.
Yeah.
Really sad.
Yeah, it really is a tragedy. Again, there's not enough words to describe. Sometimes Dennis and Mike, in my situation, whether we like the topic or not, it's our responsibility to report it and talk about it, and that's what we've done tonight. Rest in peace, Jesse Pierce and their children and dog. You'll be missed throughout the hockey community as well as everything in general. And I hope that the husband finds a way to overcome this. I know this is a tough one to swallow. We'll go from that situation. We're going to go over to figure skating. Because Alyssa Liu is the first U.S. woman to win Olympic gold in women's singles figure skating since 2002. Dennis, how about that? Alyssa broke through and got some gold.
Wasn't she good? She was awesome.
Yeah.
I watched the skate. She was really good. I tell you, she deserved every bit of it, and they also won the team event, right? The gold medal for their team. But yeah, I read up on her a little bit and all that. It just seems that she's been, in the starlight and really worked hard. And I tell you, those figure skaters, I don't care. Well, hockey players work hard on the ice, but these girls, they get up and they skate early in the morning. Everybody's still sleeping, and they're out whipping around that ice and doing flips and things, and since young girls, and now her dream came true, becoming a gold, medal winner, and I believe that wasn't she involved with Taylor Swift a little bit at some Heart Radio Music Awards, and donate credit Taylor Swift for her songs and all that for helping them, inspiration to win the gold medal. Her and her team.
Mike?
Yeah, look, it's terrific that she won the gold medal. I think it's even better that she overcame some of the mental issues she was having. And, she's 20 or 21 years old now, I think.
20, yeah.
Which is nice to see because, when it comes to figure skating and also gymnastics, some of these girls in particular, the men too, but the girls especially, are so young.
Right.
The pressure that's put on them, it's really not fair. And so when you see a girl that was like she was at 15 or 16, strong enough to just say, I'm just going to step away from this for a little while, and then got herself together and came back and did what she did, at 20, more mature, feeling a lot better about herself, a lot healthier mentally and physically. I think that's terrific. And I did see something recently where now she's decided she doesn't want to skate at the World Championships, which is good for her. I mean, she's as Dennis said, she's achieved a dream, and she is now in control of her life and her skating life, as opposed to having skating and the skating community in control of her. And I think that's a real lesson for a lot of these other young athletes, boys and girls, to be able to say, like, we all want to make the pros, we all want to win gold medals, we want to do those things, but if it doesn't happen, it's okay as long as I enjoy the sport for the right reasons and I'm healthy about it.
Cody?
Yeah, I mean, what a great story for Alyssa Liu like this. At 16, she, like Mike was saying, she stepped away, and 2 to 3 years later, she came back, and probably maybe she wanted to be a kid for the next 2 years. She was 16 years old, because a lot of these figure skaters, they're doing school and then figure skating practice, because ice is very limited and expensive. So I mean, I'm pretty sure she wanted to have it be time as a kid for a little bit and enjoy her high school years, and then she got right back into it, and now she's an Olympic gold medalist. I mean, what a great story.
See, before I bring Candy in here, I want to go back to what Mike said about gymnastics. I was in Los Angeles in 1984 when Mary Lou Retton took the nation by storm and won those gold medals. I was actually in the area with my cousin Terry over in Westwood Village, and it was exciting to see Mary Lou Retton do what she did. Well, kudos to this young lady as well for doing it, for duplicating it at a young age. All right, Candy, you have the last word on this, and then you're going to give a preview for Fire Up, and then we have some more hockey topics to get to. Go ahead, Candy.
So, Mike, to your point, she captured her first U.S. title at the age of 13.
Yeah.
She was the third U.S. woman to land a triple axel and the first to land a quad in competition. And she earned sixth at the Beijing Olympics. Then, yes, she decided, you know what, I'm going to walk away. And then she found herself, you know what, I kind of want to go back. She's been labeled figure skater's unbothered queen and says the results matter less to her than how she feels while performing. I really don't feel nervous. I don't feel the pressure. There's nothing holding me down or holding me back, she said after the short program in Milan. I invite it all in, so no matter what happens, it's a story. And it's her story. And kudos to her for, like you said, Mike, for realizing that she didn't want to go through the daily pressures of practicing and the competitions, and she wanted to walk away and be herself. And then she realized, you know what? I want to do it for me, and I want to have fun. And that's what she did. And look at the results she had. Kudos to her for at such a young age realizing all of that. And kudos for her for winning the gold.
See, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I've always thought that figure skating competition in the Olympics is one of my favorite events to watch. I really am. I mean, don't get me wrong, the downhill and all that other stuff, but figure skating requires a whole lot of skill, and the margin of error is just unbelievable for that compared to the other ones. I'm not trying to downplay the other ones. Hockey's a team sport, but this is an individual sport. When Mike goes ahead and compares it to gymnastics, Mr. Santos hits a bullseye in that. All right, Katie, why don't you give a preview for Fire Up and get to some more hockey topics? Go ahead, Katie. What do you have at approximately 9:30?
We are going to be talking about Kirk Cousins' new deal with his new team. We're also going to be talking a little bit about FIFA's world ticket prices. They just jumped up to $10,000. Like, oh my gosh. We're going to talk a little bit about James Franklin. He's got a little chip on his shoulder. We're going to talk about Audrey Crooks, Miles Straw, and a little March Madness.
Oh, Cody, you want to do double duty tonight? You can come on there and talk soccer tonight. You're making it on every other show. Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Great stuff, Katie. We'll see you in a little bit. Thanks for contributing on these topics. With that said, Mike mentioned it a little bit before. Now we'll talk about the Red Wings in the month of March because they've been awfully bad in the last few years. Let's date it back to 2023. They were 5-9-1. That's not getting in the playoffs. 2024, 3-9-2. That's even worse. 2025, 4-10-0. That's bad. And if you want to go ahead and get out of there again, how about 26, 5-7-2? Mike, you're the one who started this March business. The Wings are just not getting it done in March.
Yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed. I think their fans have to be disappointed. I mean, this isn't a couple of years now. This has been going on for the better part of a decade.
Right.
And I think the fans and the organization have been patient enough, and it just seems to be the same thing every year. They get off to a decent start. They're right in the playoff spot. They don't do much at the trade deadline to help themselves, and then they just fall right out of it. And it's happening again. Like, something's got to change. For a while, I bought the idea that they were building through the draft and through some young players, and their team in Grand Rapids in the American Hockey League is terrific. But that team, if people don't know, it's not really a team full of prospects. It's a team full of high-priced guys that have been put together to win a Calder Cup, and that's not what fans in Detroit or even in Michigan are looking for. They're not looking for an AHL team to win the Calder Cup. They want a team that's going to compete for the Stanley Cup, and it's. I think Stevie Y's got to really look at his staff and look at himself in the mirror and say, something's got to change here, and it's got to change with us first, because whatever we're doing, it's not working.
I agree. Dennis?
It's nice to see them turn around a little bit. I mean, it's nice to see them be in the hunt, and I think they had a good start and everything, but they got a Gibson, the goalie. That was a big plus thing for them, getting Gibson. But aren't they playing tonight against Ottawa?
Well, they're playing Philadelphia, if I understand. I don't have a score on it, but
Detroit. Okay, and they're not far off for the playoffs. They still got a few games left, so I would like to see them get in. I think Detroit's a better team than Columbus and all those, the Bruins and all. I think they played better. They've had some injuries that have kind of got them back down, losing streak there, but they're back. Some of the guys are back. I really think that if they can just keep going, I think they'll get in and they'll maybe do some damage. Yeah, they need to get some more players, but they're right there. They're right there. Raymond's good. DeBreachin, he's good. They got good players, and they just gotta keep going and keep working hard. And I think if they stay healthy in the rest of the season, I think they've got a good chance of getting in. They got Stevie Y. It's about time that they make a decision on. I would say if they don't get in this year, they have to make a decision on his situation.
Yeah, well, Sebastian Costa, I think, should be playing. Why you waited this long? I mean, John. I mean, they haven't. They're not confident in Camp Talbot. That's for sure. They need a bona fide
Talbot,
pitching
that's it, yeah.
goaltender. So let's talk. There is an update here. Red Wings 2, Flyers 1,
There you go.
17:50 left in the third. So Candy Ebling will keep us posted until the show goes, and we'll go from there. Or Fire Up is coming up next. So go ahead, Cody. Some thoughts.
I mean, they have a new building. I don't think they've had one playoff game in that new building yet.
Nope. Little Caesars Arena.
Yeah.
Beautiful
I mean,
building.
I know people are saying is Yzerman on the hot seat? It sounds like he should be. I mean, they have a good coach. They have everything there. They have veterans. They got young players. I mean, what happened to that Finney guy at the beginning of the year? He was one of the hottest rookies, and it just went down.
Right.
I know what the Larkin injury didn't help. Kopp was injured for a little bit.
Right.
And I mean, Talbot's been okay this year.
Yeah, not Gibson, Talbot.
Yeah, and like I said, I know Gibson very well. He's been he was a Duck up until this season. And I always knew, like, if Gibson's in the right situation, he could be a Vezina caliber kind of goalie, and he's done well in Detroit. But the only issue is right now is they can't rely on Talbot. So now Gibson has to play every single game because every game matters right now. I'm looking at the standings. They're out by 2 points right now. They have 86 points in 74 games. Columbus is the second wild card with 75 games played and 88 points. So they need to win out pretty much to probably really make it, because I mean, Columbus is hot. Boston is looking good. I think Boston's already looks like they have the first wild card kind of swooped up with the 94 points. So it's really between Philadelphia, Detroit, Ottawa, and Columbus for that last spot. I don't know if they can catch up to anyone else in the Atlantic. It doesn't look that way.
Probably
so
not.
Their best bet is to get that last wild card spot. So, Larkin needs to come in. And like we talked about earlier, is with the trade deadline, they probably needed one more significant piece to or one good core piece to really make this season work. Because you can't win. I heard on a podcast in March, the last 4 seasons, they've won 17 games total. You can't do that around this time of the year.
Well, I agree with you, Cody. I thought they needed an offensive piece that the trade deadline was waiting for it to come. So, yeah, with all due respect, Dylan Larkin's a big part of it. He's only been in the playoffs once in his career, and they need to start winning 2 games. Let's continue the narrative, because the worst records the last 10 games include Vancouver 2-8, Chicago 3-5-2, Seattle 3-5-2, Florida 4-6, San Jose 4-5-1, Minnesota 4-5-1, yes, the Detroit Red Wings 4-5-1, and Utah 4-5-1. All right, Cody, we'll start with you. Just give me the 2 teams that stand out here in these last 10, because I'll tell you, they only got like 7, 8 more left to go.
You're talking about the rest for who they're playing against?
I'm talking about the worst 10 records in the last 10 games, the worst records the last 10 games played.
Oh, the Detroit does?
No, well, I'm talking about all of them now.
Oh, all of them?
Yeah, you want me to go over the list again?
Yes.
Not a problem. Okay. We've got Vancouver 2-8, Chicago 3-5-2, Seattle Kraken 3-5-2, Florida 4-6-0, San Jose 4-5-1, Minnesota 4-5-1, Detroit 4-5-1, and the Cliff Neal's favorite team, the Utah Mammoth 4-5-1. We all know that's an inside joke. Which one stand out to you, Cody?
I mean, it's got to be Detroit, and I want to say, I know Vancouver's already out of it. Chicago's pretty much out of it.
Minnesota.
Minnesota being in there is not very good around this time of year. You don't want to be having that bad of a record going into the playoffs like this late in the year.
Right.
So I would say Red Wings and Minnesota are the 2 I'm looking at there.
Okay, Mike, what about you?
I'm looking at Detroit. I'm looking at Utah. And then the third team I'm looking at is San Jose. San Jose, they're climbing back into being in a playoff race this year for a young team that has two young leaders, especially up front. I think they'll take this. Like, this is experience for them. But when I look at Utah and I look at Detroit in the East, these are two teams that have been in playoff race now for several years and faded down the stretch, and they're both doing it. The other teams, I mean, Florida has been out of it for a while. I mean, I expect them to go to 4 cups in a row right now. Those types of teams. I agree with Cody that it's it's not the way you want to go into the playoffs if you're Minnesota, but they're in the playoffs.
Right.
But when I look at that list of teams, I look at Utah and I look at Detroit. And both of those teams have been in the playoff hunt in the last month of the season for several years now and fade at the end. So there's a problem there.
Yeah, the only two teams I'm going to refer to would be Detroit and Minnesota, but more so Detroit because the Red Wings don't want that playoff situation to hit 10 years or that's going to get ugly up there for sure. Dennis, you have the last word on this one. And then after we get done there, we're going to go talk about tree living.
Okay. With that, the Western Conference there with Utah and the Kings and the Sharks and that, Sharks are the one. They're a pretty good team, and they're fighting out for that wild card with the Kings. I believe. I think Utah, even though they've gone down in the wins lately, they'll probably get the one spot there because of not many games left, and of course Minnesota. But you can't tell with this NHL this year. You don't know because you got to get there. Once you get there, anybody can win. The way they got the playoff structure and all that, it could be anybody. The two top teams they're going to lose a top team because they're going to lose in the series. They should go 1 to 8. 1, 8, 2, 7, 3, 6, 4, 5, or honor the team that has the best points in the league in the top. Honor them and give them a bye. That's what I would do, and how I would set it up. But if you look at last night's game, Colorado and Vancouver, who won? Vancouver 8-6. And then Colorado is the top team, and Vancouver is one of the worst teams, and they got 8 goals against the top team. Now, see, there you go. That should never happen, especially at this time, going in, getting ready for the playoffs. Makar got hurt a little bit. I think he got a sore shoulder or whatever, but still, they got a great team. So you don't know. You don't know.
Okay, sure. Okay. Things are unraveling in Toronto. That's the reason why Brad Tree Living. Did everybody get their word on this? Let's make sure. We're all good. Okay, things are unraveling in Toronto. Obviously, Mr. Marouk knows about it, and Brad Tree Living, the general manager, lost his job because of it. So, what are your thoughts about Brad losing his job, Dennis?
Well, I don't always blame a general manager in a situation like this. I do in some cases, but I think Brad is a good man, a smart man, and knows hockey. I think what happened is a lot of times the players that you bring in and you put on the ice, those are the ones supposed to perform. They're under the coach. The coach has to make sure he puts the right teammates, line mates, together to be successful. You have what's happened. Matthews got hurt; he's out, but he wasn't playing good before he got hurt. And then you got Nylander, you got Riley, who's not played well for them. They're supposed to be their top defenseman. They had a few defensemen that got hurt or out of the lineup. They got guys that had great years last year, are struggled this year. Matthew Nyes, great player, and he played with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Losing Mitch Marner was the biggest loss, I think, and the downfall of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He was a guy that could do a lot of things for them and did do a lot of things. Power play, penalty killing, score goals, set up, made Austin Matthews a better goal scorer than he was because of how he could make plays and set them up like Adam Oates and to
Right.
Brett Hall, and so it was just like a trickling effect going down. The players that Brad brought in or the trades that they moved, these players did not perform. You got the Mr. Domi, who's scoring a few goals this year, not like he used to score in junior and all that. I think last year he had one goal in his first 24 games. And, so you just got certain things. So I blame the players on the ice more than I do blame firing the general manager. But they're not going to get rid of all the players.
Right.
They're going to get rid of the general manager that brought in the players, brought in the coach, and go from there. So that's the Toronto situation. Where they're going to go from here, who knows? Who knows?
Right.
Nobody seems to know what's going to happen, who they're going to bring in. Mr. Kelly, the fellow that's kind of running the show right now, Keith Pelly. He don't know much about hockey. He needs to bring a person in that's going to run the hockey operations. The hockey operations guy's got to bring in their general manager, which I think a general manager in Toronto is hired to get fired. And I think that's because it's just so much pressure and so much going on in Toronto for that position.
Yeah,
I could go all night. I could go all night about this, but I'll let y'all talk about it. And,
well, I'll just summarize my comments by saying Mitch Marner leaving was bad. Mike, go ahead.
Well, I mean, Dennis knows more than anybody from being up that way. There's no tougher place to win right now than Toronto.
Right.
One, because it's the center of the hockey universe, whether we like it or not. The people are not only passionate, but they're the most knowledgeable hockey fans in the world. And then, add in the attention, the history, and the media. It's just a recipe for pressure and disaster one year after another. I've known Brad Treliving a long time. We're contemporaries. I feel bad for him. But when you're the general manager of any team, the buck stops there. And Dennis is right. And especially in Toronto, you're hired to be fired. But although he's a friend, he doesn't have a real good track record as a general manager. I mean, you look at Marner walking away for nothing. Well, the same thing happened to him in Calgary with John Gaudreau. He lost John Gaudreau for nothing and let him walk away because he wouldn't make a deal with him. And Gaudreau ended up in Columbus. He's made some bad trades in Toronto, obviously. Maybe they didn't look like it at the time, but they've come out to be bad trades. He did some similar things when he was the GM in Calgary. I mean, he traded Tkachuk to the Panthers. And that was the deal that put the Panthers over the top and sent them to 3 consecutive Stanley Cup finals. So, again, I think he's a great guy. I think he's a good hockey man, but as a general manager in 2 places now and in 2 Canadian markets where they know the game, he knows the game, you just can't make those kind of mistakes and survive.
Cody?
I mean, I remember when that Tkachuk trade happened, me and my dad talked about it, and right away we thought Calgary won that trade. I mean, you got Huberdeau and Weegar back and a first-round pick, and all you gave up was Tkachuk. I was like, wow, Calgary really won this trade, and wow, little did we know. But no, like Brad Treliving, he made some very interesting moves with Toronto. He tried to make a northern version of Florida, and it just did not work in his favor at all. You lost Mitch Marner. I mean, you look at how bad this season went. But I mean, you can't fully blame the GM, but it looks like maybe they want to go a different direction, and maybe Brad's like, it's either we do it this way, or if you want to go a different way, then just let me go. It could have been simple as that, where Treliving wanted to do a different version of this team next year, and And Toronto's like, no, we want something different. So it could have been simple as that too.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I also think that there's two big reasons why they let him go too. Is you look at the success of the Montreal Canadiens, and you look at the success of the Buffalo Sabres.
On the bubble.
That does not go good with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah,
and I think that was a big part of it too. You know, look at their success. Why aren't we winning? Why aren't we in the playoffs? Why aren't we? Yeah. So I think that's big part of it too. Why they let them go too.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I think about that, Dennis. Because they're not patient in Toronto to rebuild things like they did in Montreal. It's been quite a while rebuilding, but they've rebuilt it with good young players, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they did the same thing in Buffalo. It finally caught fire this year, unfortunately, after they fired Kevin Adams. It wasn't his fault.
Yeah. He brought them in. Yeah, he brought the players in. Yeah.
But both those organizations Montreal and Buffalo were patient for a long time. Toronto just doesn't show that patience. The fans don't show it. The media doesn't show it. The organization doesn't show it. And the one guy they had, in my opinion, and I think you'll probably agree with me knowing where you're from, the one guy they could have hired as the general manager, but they passed him over for Brad Treliving, was Mark Hunter. And I think he would have done a terrific job.
Funny you brought Mark up. I'm going to the Knights game tomorrow night. They're down 3-1 against the Sioux. So I'll be going to Knights, and we were talking about that today, about Dale, Mark, and Rick Doyle I played with does the TV color. And he said that I think Dale's going after the Brian Kilray record of wins. And I think that's one thing that he wants. And Mark may go, but I still think Mark was talked about before when they brought in what's his name, the guy in Pittsburgh. They brought in
Dubas.
Yeah. So I don't think as I said, you're being hired to fire. I don't think Mark will go there. No.
Yeah. But they should have hired Mark Hunter 8 years ago.
Right.
Or even 4 years ago. And I think he would have taken it at the time when he was working for the organization. And his roots are in junior hockey and scouting young talent and building something. And I think that's what they need, just like Montreal and Buffalo. They need a guy like a Mark Hunter that would build things. And they blew it by hiring Dubas.
Dubas, that's it. Yeah, Dubas, yeah.
And then they blew it again by bringing in Brad Treliving. And I like Brad Treliving, but they had Mark Hunter in the organization, and he would have been ready to, I think.
I mean, do you know when I coached in Lake Charles Ice Pirates, who ran the league was Brad Treliving. That's the Whipple. Yeah.
Really?
I mean, Dubas is doing really well in Pittsburgh right now.
Okay.
I mean, we all thought they were going to be a bottom barrel team, and they're in the playoffs right now. So, and he's yeah.
Well, let me add one thing to this whole thing. Brendan Shanahan was there for a while. He didn't win there. Mike Babcock had a few good teams, and he's out of there. And now all of a sudden, this situation is in complete chaos. And we could talk about it all day long. I agree, Dennis. I'll tell you what, the Toronto Maple Leafs market is definitely a hot potato for sure. Update on the regular score. They leave Philadelphia 3-1, 9:29 left in the third. A few other topics I want to get to tonight, and that's this. Peter Chiarelli is leaving the St. Louis Blues to pursue other opportunities and is a candidate in Nashville's interview process for their general manager position. Chiarelli, 61, has been with the Blues organization since 2019 as a senior advisor before being promoted to vice president of hockey operations in 2021. He previously served as general manager of the Boston Bruins from 2006 to 15 and Edmonton Oilers 2015 to 19. Some thoughts, Dennis, about Peter Chiarelli.
Oh, wasn't he in Boston too?
Yeah.
From 2006 to 15.
Okay, there you go. So he's been around.
Right.
I mean, he knows his business, knows what's going on, and the reason he said, of course, was he wanted to see other opportunities. He was not going to get the opportunity to stay in St. Louis. Right. Is that my question? My question.
No, he's not.
No, yeah. Right. So and GM in the running there in St. Louis, is that Armstrong?
Yes,
Armstrong, and then they're gonna after this season, I believe Alexander Steen is taking over,
Right.
and Armstrong's moving to president of hockey operations.
That's what it is. Okay, yeah. And then Armstrong's name came up about the Toronto Maple Leafs GM as well, but
Or
not
in Nashville.
or Nashville too, and same in Toronto. So Peter, anyway, I don't know a lot about. Just know that where he's been, and it seems like, as I said in the last 2 weeks ago, whatever, is these guys get in that circle
Mhm.
and they go from one team to the other. You know what I mean? You get in the circle as either coaching, assistant GM, or GM manager, or vice president or president of a team. You may be there for 3 years, and then another team lets one guy go. Guess what? Your name goes thrown in that little circle because you're already in the big circle, right? So his name's probably going to go in. Peter's name is going to probably go in to another team where whatever's going on. And I think he realized that his opportunity there was not going to be good. So he's going to he left the team and is going to move on. He'll get a job somewhere because I believe in that circle. It's hard to break in and get into that circle. And he's already in it.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, Peter, from what I know, really wanted the Nashville job. I think that has changed recently. I think it hasn't come out publicly yet, but I think he really wants the Toronto job now.
Oh,
Is
is
he
that
really?
He's an Ontario guy. He won a cup in Boston. He's got some of those Ontario connections. I don't know if he knows Pelly, but Peter's father was, I believe, the mayor of Ottawa and a very prominent attorney in Ottawa. But I believe when this first happened that he decided he was going to leave as an advisor for St. Louis, that he was interested in Nashville. I don't know how that interview process is going. But I think since this Toronto job has opened up, that's the one he really fancies.
wow?
I know. See how that transpires. The one thing we're going to find out over the coming weeks is we're going to talk about playoff updates as well as administrative things like we have here. Cody, you have the last word on it. Again, Peter will find his way. He's a good hockey man. He certainly has a good track record. I'll leave it at that. We'll turn it over to Cody. 2 more topics I want to get to before we sign off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice for Cirelli to go where he wants to go. I mean, as Mike was saying, he wants to go to Toronto. I think the only issue is with Toronto is, are you really going to have full reign to do what you want to be a general manager there? Because it seems like every general manager that's been there, they've kind of had their one hand tied behind their back kind of situation. And I think in Nashville, he may have full reins to do what he wants there. Trotz had that. David Poyle had that. I mean, if I were him, I would rather go to Nashville than Toronto. He'll have, like I said, full reign. There's no one breathing down his neck. The media won't be down his neck as much. And I think he'll probably have, and it's a no state tax area too. And it's a nice place to live. And like I said, I think that would be the best place for him to go. Because like I said, he'll have full reign. No one's breathing down his neck. And he can do what he wants to build his team.
Do you all know Mike Fuda?
Yeah.
Mike Fuda, right? He's on TV, but he was with the LA Kings.
Yeah.
When before treating him, they asked him if he wanted to be the GM, and they gave him 2 days to make a decision. I talked to him for a little bit, and he says, "Why would I leave my job in LA to go be the GM in Toronto? And if I make bad mistakes and stuff, certain things don't happen, guess what? They're going to fire me right away." So there you go. You brought up a point there about going to certain different teams that you have better situations where you can do things and not worry about getting fired the next day. And I think that's where any GM or anybody gets hired in Toronto has to realize that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you another thing about Peter Cirelli. Peter Cirelli was in Ottawa as the assistant GM when he got the job as the general manager in Boston. And the first thing he was able to do was bring Zdeno Chara from Ottawa as a free agent to Boston.
Really?
And I believe that part of his plan for Toronto, because he was there when they drafted him in Edmonton. He was the president of hockey operations in Edmonton. I believe his plan and what he would present to Pelly in Toronto is, you bring me in here, and next year I'll bring McDavid to Toronto. So I just think Peter's. I know Peter. I actually played against Peter in college.
Okay.
He's got a little bit of an ego, and well deserved. I mean, he won a cup in Boston, and I think that that's what he thinks he can do. I think he believes he can be the guy to go into Toronto, stop it. And I think part of his plan is, in another year from now, McDavid will have had his run in Edmonton, and he'll be ready to go. And I think Peter thinks he can bring McDavid from Edmonton.
Well, I'll give you an analogy. He goes ahead and wins a cup in Toronto. It's the equivalent of Theo Epstein winning it with the Boston Red Sox as well as the Chicago Cubs. So that's a pretty tall order since they haven't won it since '67. Thought I'd throw a little baseball reference at you, Dennis.
It'll also be very similar to Mark Messier going to the Rangers.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
That's a good point. McDavid is he says he wants to win in Edmonton, and I believe that. And I think that the top players realize if things don't happen soon there in Edmonton, he's going to leave.
Yeah, I think
whether it's Toronto, whether it's Colorado, wherever it is, I think it's time where he's just going to say, I've had enough. Yeah.
He gave them a discount, and he's got one more year on his contract up there.
Right.
2 more years. So I think that's I think that's the time he's going to give Edmonton to put what he thinks are the right pieces around him. And if it doesn't happen, I mean, look, they just went to the finals 2 years in a row and lost to Florida.
I just hope David doesn't burn himself out.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'll go back to what I said before. If Theo Epstein pulled it off with the Chicago Cubs and I repeat, the Boston Red Sox. So if Mr. Chiarello can do it in Toronto, then he'll have a statue faster than we can snap our finger. So, two more things I want to get to real quickly. And then you guys talked about the Kevin Adams firing. We'll just give you an update about it. Talked about it last week. Update, obviously, since firing Kevin Adams, the Sabres have a record of 36-3. So there you go. Dennis.
Okay, Buffalo Sabres. Look at them. They're fighting out for first place with the Tampa Bay Lightning, right?
Right.
I think there's 2 points separating. If I'm not mistaken, I got a sheet right here. Yeah, they're 2 points. I think that Buffalo, how do I say it? Their success is going to be their goaltender.
Mm-hmm.
If their goaltender can continue playing the way they've been playing, they got a good chance to win the division. But you can't. That Tampa team, you just never know. They're so good. That Kucherov, and what's his name? Points back playing now the way he can play. He was hurt. Now back. They're so tough. But I think it's great to see Buffalo where they are right now for what's happened over the years with their team. It's been not a fun time for players there, but they worked at it. They brought in players. Kevin Adams brought in a lot of players. I think a lot of people question his ability to be the general manager there in Buffalo because he had no experience when he first got there. As a general manager, so he's worked hard at it and got, when you're not winning, as I say, you're as a general manager position, and that's what happened with him. He got fired.
Yeah, well, Alex Lyons, your goaltender, Lindy Ruff has done a good job there as well. So got to give him credit. Mike, we have one more topic to go. We're going to talk about Coach John Tortorella and Bruce Cassidy as we wrap it up. Go ahead.
I think, regardless of what happens the rest of the way, the Sabres have finally had the season that's been coming to them and their fans. I mean, it's been great to see some of the clips of, how much the fans have enjoyed this second half of the season. They're filling the building. They're chanting on the way out. I think it's terrific. My hope, selfishly, is for a good old-fashioned Boston Buffalo first round series. That would be great.
It would be. Yeah.
Cody.
It's looking like we're having as of right now. Looks like we're getting a Buffalo Boston matchup. But I mean, yeah, Buffalo's has 2 points on Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay still has a game in hand, so they have an extra game to play. So it's still anyone's division right there between Buffalo and Tampa. But like I've heard of coaches bumps, and when you trade for a player, you get that little bump. I've never heard of a fire GM bump in a midseason like that. It's very rare you've ever seen that. I mean, should Kevin Adams win GM of the year after this? I mean, that's the thing. Has anyone ever won it and not been a general manager? I mean, I know he didn't really do much this season, but it just after they let him go, it's just boom, they just took off. I mean, what he got back for that Paterka trade was everyone thought was giving him crap for it, but I'm like, I thought he won that trade with getting Josh Stone and Kesselring back. I thought, and Kessering's barely even played for Buffalo, so who knows how much better Buffalo could be with a, he's a second line right-handed shot defenseman. But Buffalo's played well. They look good. I mean, you have two guys that you could probably trust in net with Lyon and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I just don't know how Lyon's going to be in the playoffs, just because we saw what happened with him with Florida.
But getting to the playoffs is big enough as it is. It's only been 14 years. How old are you? 32?
33, thank you.
Or 33? Close enough. I mean, geez, where were you when they got in the playoffs? Continue your thought.
I was still in high school when they last got
exactly.
in the playoffs.
That's my point.
But like, and Lindy Ruff and Ryan Miller was also the goalie for them back then too.
Yeah, Lindy Ruff's the key to this whole thing.
Yeah.
This guy,
yes and no. It's a second time coaching there.
Yeah.
But he's done a great job again.
Yeah.
He brought him to the finals the first time he was there, and he's done. I thought he was done coaching, and he went back. I mean, obviously he was a Sabres player. I mean,
Adams brought him back, right?
Best thing
Adams brought him back.
Yeah.
That was the best thing Adams did, was hiring him.
Yeah. So is Adams winning GM of the year?
I don't know.
That'd be cool.
That's a good point. Good point.
I know what they Lindy Ruff should win Coach of the Year. All right. With that said, one more topic to get to, and obviously one of the big stories of the week, because John Tortorella is the named head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, and out goes Bruce Cassidy. And obviously, you have him winning a Stanley Cup less than 3 years, only 8 regular season games left. Was that a good move? Well, now the Red Wings game is on final, get the Flyers 4-2. What are your thoughts about the move, though, Dennis? John Tortorella in for 8 games, and Mr. Cassidy is out.
All right. You want my opinion about that?
Kind of. Yeah, that's why I asked you.
I think with 8 games remaining, I was kind of shocked to hear that. And basically, no matter what the situation, I know there's been things reported about players saying things about Cassidy, what happened last year in the playoffs and all that kind of stuff. And things weren't going. They weren't getting the right goaltending this year as well, even though they're fighting out. They're right in that spot in the playoffs there. So, they got good hockey players. They've got a good team. I don't know if I would have made that move. I would have waited until to see if things are developed in the playoffs for them and that. To hire Big John, I don't like him. I never have. I never played under him, but I've heard very, very negative things about him as a coach. Wherever he's been, yes, he's won where he's been, but that doesn't last long where he's been. due to the fact that the things he does to players, says the players, and not. We are, and players are professional people, and you have to treat them as professionals. And I've heard that he doesn't. He's Mr. John, and it's his way or no way.
Okay.
So I don't think, for me, truthfully, was a good move.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just surprised Cassidy's out after 3 years winning it, but obviously that's a reason for doing it.
Yeah, there was always reasons, like firing GMs
Yeah.
or coaches. You know, it's just some players,
Yeah.
you don't trade the team. And players go in and talk to the general manager, talk to the presidents or whatever, and say, "Well, this coach is a jerk," you know, and this is what he does, blah blah blah. You know, talk about Mike Babcock. We can talk a lot about Mike Babcock, whatever happened to him, right?
Right.
So I mean, there you go. So I think John's in that category. John is in that category, Mike Babcock category.
See, Dennis, you realize what I just did to you, don't you? I set you up for that comment, man. I gave you an assist so you could score a darn goal, and you did it. You slapped that sucker home. And you're not lying. I set you up.
I'm done talking about John T. All right, you guys go ahead.
But I just set you up. That's all I did for you to make that statement. All right, Mike, take it away. You talk to it. You don't want to do it no more.
The timing is just
No.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's the thing. This is an organization that's been in the NHL for 9 years now.
Right.
No team in the history of the National Hockey League has had the success as an expansion franchise as the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
Right.
They went to the Stanley Cup Finals in their very first year. They've been in the finals 2 other times, right, since then.
Yeah.
They won a Stanley Cup. All of this in 9 years. And they've had at least 5 head coaches in 9 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem. Like I don't get it. Because they're having success. Even this year,
Yeah.
you know, maybe it's grumbling with the players or whatever, but they're in good shape. They've got a shot to win it. I mean, they wouldn't be the favorites this year, but they're there.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there is a problem between the coach and the players, it didn't happen with 2 weeks left in the season. And this is something that should have been dealt with months
Olympic
ago.
break.
Yeah, I mean, like this to me, it just smells bad, and I think it really reflects on, well, the GM Kelly McCrimmon.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's he doing? Like, they've had a successful organization as you can have for 9 years, from an expansion team to 3 Stanley Cup Finals and 1 Stanley Cup championship, and never missed the playoffs.
They missed 1 year.
Did they miss 1 year? Okay.
Yeah. And Gerard Gallant led him to that first final. Then he's out of there really quick too.
And the coach that did win the cup for you, you're doing this with 2 weeks left.
Right.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense to me.
Who's the president of the club now?
McPhee, isn't it?
George McPhee.
There it is, George McPhee. He was the GM, and he moved up, right? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. There's your problem.
He hired.
Not a big George McPhee fan either, even though he was with my Capitals.
That's right.
So I think there you go.
By the way, I love that jersey. By the way, Dennis, it's a great jersey. Great.
There you go. Perfect.
Well,
There you go.
well,
All right.
unbelievable.
I know. I gotta
Well-
get me a Screaming Eagle jersey.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cody, by the way, I did find a hoodie for Chelsea that Candy dug out when I must have ordered it somewhere, so I'll have to wear that on.
I'll bring you guys down some hats in Florida.
Oh, please do. Yeah, we need to do that. Hey, Mike, this guy's coming down in May, so we got to have you and I and Dennis are going to get together. Cody, if you take a flight, you can hang out too.
All right.
Yeah, he's coming down in what? The middle of May, Dennis?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so I'll be back on May 10th or 11th. So this guy will be down here. So
Good.
I have news for you, Mike. You and I get up and see this guy. All right, so we can really Who knows? Maybe huh?
I said right on.
Yeah, well, who knows? Maybe Candy will go ahead. We'll do a show remote. I don't know. We'll hang out. We'll have a good time nonetheless. Actually, you know what? We got to all the topics. I like that, Dennis. Did we do a good job tonight? You think we covered a lot?
Yeah, he did cover a lot. Yeah, it was good.
You guys are great, man. I have my dream team when it comes to frozen pond and then some. You know, we even got a little figure skating in there. Anything that was on ice, we covered it, baby. So anyways, but once again, a final rest in peace to Jesse Pierce. And congratulations to Melissa Leo, and we'll see where the Professional Women's Hockey League goes from there. So, all right, with that said, Cody, why don't you let everybody know how they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can follow my dad and I at Royally Quacked. We go live every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. At Pacific Standard Time. Thank you, Candy. She reminds me every time I do that now. A couple weeks ago, we had Daryl Evans on. Like I said, it was so much fun having him on. Go check it out. He talks about, he's helped a 101-year-old former veteran to skate again. And he talks about how he skates with no laces on. Cody, go Blues, go Chelsea. Amen about that. And it sucks that they got knocked out of Champions League, but I don't want to talk about that either. But yeah, you can follow Royally Quacked on social media at Royally Quacked everywhere, and hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel.
And Michael Weathers, I'm looking forward to seeing him fire up. I will be in there in a little bit. Mike, Hockey Operations LLC, what's going on? Any updates?
Well, I am working on the new contact information, so it'll be Mike at hockeyonthepitch.com, and it should be ready for next week's show.
Okay, and then we conclude with in my opinion, a Hall of Famer, and I'm not going to stop talking until this guy gets in Toronto for all the right reasons. No, we don't need you with the league. We need you in the Hall of Fame. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about at the end. Dennis Maroon, get him in the damn Hall of Fame already. Come on. Wake up. Really?
Maybe the Leafs should hire me as their general manager.
Oh, they can't do any worse. Might as well give you a shot. Maybe they'll hear. I'm telling you, this show goes worldwide, Dennis. All over the cotton picking place now. It does. I mean, iHeartRadio, Amazon picked it up.
I'm a player's coach. Player's coach. They would love. They would.
Well, I hope the Leafs realize that. Dennis Maroon is reaching out to get on the phone and bring this guy in. Although I hate to lose him as an analyst, but maybe you're the guy that could be the equivalent of Theo Epstein to get him in here. Any closing thoughts, Dennis, before Darren and I, the same group, will be back on next Thursday night. We'll talk more hockey. Any closing thoughts, Dennis, before we wrap it up and turn it over to Candy Embling? Any closing thoughts, Dennis?
Thank you.
Oh, I guess that's the closing thought. Okay. So
no closing thoughts. No, I
thought you said the thank you before the closing thoughts.
Show. No, I guess a great show. Great things to talk about. There's so many things you can talk about in the game of hockey. There's no doubt about it. And I'm sure with any other sport, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, or hockey, there's just so many good stories. And every day there's a new story, so which is great.
Well, we'll tell you what, we'll be back here next Thursday night, 8 o'clock Family Eastern Time. Dennis, Cody, Mike, and myself will bring you live coverage here about the place that played on Frozen Pond. All right, once again, on behalf, and there, Candy Embling, one more station break. I'm glad you brought it up. Come on real quick to promote the book. And Dennis, you got your book. Stick it up there. We need to see it.
Oh, the book. Oh, here you go. Then one more time.
Let's get his up there first. Zoom in on him, Candy. Can we do it? I don't know how to do it. Not me, him. He's got the book. I got Dennis Maroon. All right, Dennis Maroon's got a book, and so do I. I'm big, and I don't know what I am, but I'm just wearing blue. All right, go ahead. All right, go ahead, Candy. One last station break. Turn over to Fire Up.
There you go.
Lessons from the microphone. Tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the business and how it has evolved. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books, and the audio book is out there as well. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to be a guest or have topic ideas or want to sponsor a show, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. And last but not least, if you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, just click it, like us, and share us with all your friends and family, and then turn on your notifications so you never miss any of our great programming. Back to you, Scott.
All right, well, that does it for us tonight here on Sports Wrap. On behalf of Candy Ebling, our producer, Cody Spink, who's going to be on the next Wednesday night and Thursday, and we have our all-star future should be Hall of Famer Dennis Rook, and of course Mike, Mr. Hockey Santos, and me, whatever you want to call me, Motor City Man Mouth for me. We appreciate you joining us here on Sports Wrap. We'll see you next Thursday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for joining us. We'll have more hockey updates as we draw closer to the playoffs. Good night, everybody. And thank you very much for joining us. Michael Edwards, see you shortly. Good night, everybody.